I hated being gay. I did not merely struggle with it. I cried, prayed, attended religious retreats, dated women, condemned gay people, and eventually joined the army, hoping death would solve what prayer had not. For years, one question followed me everywhere. Why did I have to be gay when being gay seemed to threaten everything I wanted? I did not choose to be gay. I did not want to be gay. I asked God to change me, and when He did not, I spent years asking why I had been given a life I believed I could never want. Today, I can tell you that I am happy being gay. Very happy. I am married to a man I love. But I refuse to begin this story at the happy ending, because that would betray the man I was when happiness seemed impossible. Before I could love my life, I had to survive the years when I could not understand why I had been required to live it this way. When I was younger, the word gay did not describe love to me. It described everything I feared: rejection, abandonment, ridicule, loneliness, hell. It was not an identity. It was a sentence pronounced over a life before that life had even begun. I wanted to be normal. That was the word I used. Normal men fell in love with women. Normal men married beautiful brides. Normal men introduced the person they loved without first conducting a risk assessment, checking the exits, and estimating which relatives might need medical attention. I watched heterosexual men move through the world as if they had received instructions at birth. Meet a woman, fall in love, bring her home, marry her, take photographs, receive congratulations. Nobody called a family meeting because a man had announced that he loved a woman. Nobody lowered his voice and said, "Have you considered what this will do to your mother?" I wanted that life. Not because I secretly possessed a great heterosexual passion waiting to be activated, but because that life appeared safe. It came with approval. It came with witnesses. It came with cake. I prayed for it. I asked God to remove my attraction to men. I bargained. I cried. I went to religious retreats looking for a miracle. Other people attended seeking peace, spiritual renewal, or a closer relationship with God. I arrived with a very specific repair order. Please remove the homosexuality and return me to the manufacturer's original specifications. I believed that if I prayed correctly, surrendered completely, confessed honestly, and suffered convincingly enough, God would perform the transformation. Perhaps I had not found the correct prayer. Perhaps the miracle required better posture. Kneel longer, cry harder, use more biblical vocabulary. Surely heaven had a department for this, although it appeared to have extremely slow customer service.
Nothing changed. I left every retreat with the same attractions I had brought with me, now accompanied by the additional suspicion that I had also failed God. I dated women, many women. I never married one because I wanted to fall in love first. That was important to me. Every time I met a new woman, I wondered whether she might be the one who performed the magic trick. Maybe this woman would awaken the heterosexual man I kept insisting was hidden somewhere inside me. Perhaps he was shy. Perhaps he had taken an extended vacation. Perhaps he was waiting for exactly the right perfume. The women were attractive, intelligent, kind, and deserving of someone who could love them completely. I could enjoy their company. I could admire them. I could care about them. But the miracle never happened. Not because they were insufficient, but because I was asking them to cure something that had never been an illness. Still, I kept hoping the next woman would be different. The next one became a treatment plan with no end date. Each date was less a romance than another clinical trial for heterosexuality, and the results remained stubbornly inconclusive only because I refused to read them. Then, one day my best friend married a beautiful woman. And guess what? I did not attend his wedding. I was jealous, but not simply because she was beautiful. I was jealous of his legitimacy. He could stand before his family, his friends, and God and announce whom he loved. His desire produced a celebration. I believed mine would produce a crisis. He received congratulations for the very thing I had been begging God to let me experience. He could place a ring on the hand of the person he loved while everyone applauded. I believed that if I ever told the truth about whom I loved, people might leave the room. His love earned him a wedding. I believed mine would cost me a family. So I became careful, extremely careful. If someone asked me, "Are you gay?" the answer came out of my mouth before the question had fully arrived. No. Then I immediately asked, "Why are you asking me that?" That second question was more important than the denial. I needed to know what the person had seen. Was it the way I walked? The way I sat? The movement of my hands? The sound of my voice? Where my eyes had rested? Had I looked at another man half a second longer than permitted under the international regulations of heterosexual eye contact? I was not asking because I wanted to understand their curiosity. I was conducting an investigation. I needed them to identify the evidence so I could destroy it. Tell me what escaped, I thought, and I will make sure it never escapes again.
I began watching myself from the outside. Every gesture became a potential witness. Every movement could testify against me. I was the suspect, the detective, the prosecutor, and the judge, and the trial was permanently in session. I also spoke against gay people. I said, loudly, that they were going to burn in hell. I regret those words, because they could have wounded people who were already carrying their own fear. But at the time, condemnation became camouflage. Clark Kent wore glasses so nobody would recognize Superman. I wore homophobia so nobody would recognize the frightened gay man underneath. Every time I threw a verbal stone at another gay person, I hoped the crowd would accept it as proof that I could not possibly be one of them. I was not standing confidently on the opposite side. I was hiding inside the accusation. The exhausting part was that no performance ever felt complete. I could date women, condemn gay men, control my voice, monitor my hands, and stare heroically at the appropriate people, but one careless moment might expose me. Heterosexuality was not a life I was living. It was a role for which I believed I could never leave the stage. Eventually, death began to look like the easiest exit. I did not want to end my life with my own hands, so I imagined another way. I joined the army, hoping to be sent to the front line. I thought that when battle came, I could stand without defending myself and allow someone else to make the decision I was afraid to make. Nobody would know why. My family would mourn a soldier. They would not have to discover that the son they believed they knew had died trying to escape a truth he could not bear to name. I could leave the world with my disguise intact. But the army had other plans. I joined, hoping to be placed near death, and they assigned me to human resources.
I had entered believing my own life had no future, and I was placed in an office concerned with the lives, needs, records, and futures of other people. Apparently, even the military looked at my plan and said, "No, we need you to process paperwork." At the time, it was simply an assignment. Looking back, I see something almost poetic in it. I was trying to disappear, and life kept giving me responsibilities that required me to remain present. I kept asking for an ending, and life answered with another person who needed assistance, another form that needed completing, another morning in which I was still here. The harder I tried to hurt myself, the more gently life seemed to treat me. Not dramatically. There was no thunder, no voice from the clouds, no angel arriving with a PowerPoint presentation titled 5 Reasons Oliver Should Remain Alive. There were delays, detours, kind people, unexpected responsibilities, and small moments that kept interrupting my plan to disappear. Life was telling me something, but I could not hear it. I was too focused on what I had seen, heard, and been told about gay men. I interpreted every day I remained gay as evidence that the miracle had failed. I did not yet understand that remaining alive was part of the answer. Then I met a beautiful man. We talked for a while. He was gay, and somehow he could see the war I was still pretending not to fight. He told me, "You need to make a decision. You need to be honest with yourself, because here or there, someone is going to get hurt, and it seems that right now, you are the one being hurt." Those words burned inside my head. Make a decision? Choose a side? Did he mean I had to decide whether to be gay or straight? I had spent my entire life trying to choose heterosexuality. I had prayed for it, rehearsed it, dated for it, dressed for it, condemned people for it, and nearly died for it. If sexual orientation could be selected through determination, I should have received an honorary doctorate in heterosexual studies. But that was not the decision in front of me. I did not have to choose whether to be gay or straight. I had always been gay. I had been playing straight so I could walk along the thin line society had drawn for me. The real decision was whether I would continue performing a life that was hurting me or begin telling myself the truth. The choice was not gay or straight. The choice was honesty or performance. That did not make everything easy. One honest conversation with myself did not erase years of shame. I did not wake the following morning surrounded by rainbows, perfectly adjusted and mysteriously knowledgeable about interior design. Acceptance was not a light switch. It was the gradual decision to stop treating every truthful feeling as evidence of failure. For the first time, I allowed the sentence to exist without immediately arguing with it. I am gay. Not, I might be confused. Not, I have homosexual desires, but. Not, perhaps the next woman. Not, God will change me if. Simply, I am gay. The world did not end when I admitted it to myself. The ceiling remained in place. Gravity continued functioning. Heterosexual marriage survived the announcement. God did not strike me with lightning, although after all those retreats, he certainly knew where to find me. Something else happened instead. The war became quieter, and the beautiful man who had asked me to be honest with myself did not disappear from my life. I eventually married him. Think about that. Years earlier, I could not attend my best friend's wedding because watching him marry someone he loved reminded me of the life I believed I could never have. Years later, I stood at my own wedding beside the man who had first asked me to stop running from myself. I had believed being gay would prevent me from finding love, building a life, and having a marriage. But denying that I was gay had prevented me from recognizing where love was possible. My husband did not make me gay. He did not rescue me, assign me an identity, or drag me triumphantly from the closet while a choir sang in the background. He held up a mirror. He asked me to stop abandoning the man reflected in it. The decision remained mine. Am I happy being gay now? Yes, very much.
That answer does not rewrite my past. I truly hated being gay. The tears were real. The prayers were real. The jealousy was real. The wish to die was real. I will not insult the man I was by pretending that he merely needed a positive slogan and a rainbow coffee mug. What changed was not my attraction to men. What changed was the meaning I had attached to it. Being gay once meant rejection, damnation, abnormality, and loneliness. Today, it also means honesty, companionship, marriage, tenderness, and the life I almost prevented myself from living. For years, I asked why God would not fix me. I wondered whether I had prayed incorrectly, surrendered incompletely, or failed some spiritual examination. Eventually, I understood the answer. God could not fix my homosexuality because my homosexuality was not the broken part. You cannot fix something that is not broken. What was breaking me was the belief that I had to become somebody else before I deserved to live. I do not know why I had to be gay. Perhaps no answer to that question will ever satisfy the younger man who wanted a different life. But I know now that being gay did not take my life away from me. The war I declared against myself nearly did. If you are listening to me and asking, why do I have to be gay? I will not give you a slogan. I will not tell you that everything will immediately become easy. I do not know your family, your country, your church, your finances, or the dangers surrounding you. Honesty with yourself does not require you to disclose your identity publicly before it is safe. I am not ordering you to come out today. I am asking you to stop treating your own experience as an enemy long enough to hear it. Sit somewhere quiet and have an honest conversation with yourself. Ask what you feel when nobody is watching. Ask whether you are choosing your life or performing the life that will make other people comfortable. Ask how much of your suffering comes from whom you love, and how much comes from everything you have been taught to fear about it. The decision is not whether you will become gay or straight. You cannot punish, pray, date, marry, enlist, or perform yourself into a different sexual orientation. The decision is whether you will continue making war against the truth. When you reach an honest answer, you do not have to embrace everything at once. Begin smaller. Refuse to insult yourself for it. Refuse to call yourself broken. Refuse to make another person responsible for curing you. Acceptance may arrive slowly. Mine did. And if the pain has reached the point where death appears to be the easiest or only exit, please do not turn that thought into a private military operation. Tell someone now. Call or text a crisis service. Contact a therapist. Walk into an emergency room if you may act. Place another human being between you and the decision pain is trying to make on your behalf. I once joined the army hoping another person would end my life. I was assigned to human resources. Years later, I understand the assignment differently. I was still a human resource, too. My life still had value, even when I could not recognize it. Stay long enough to meet the people who will speak one sentence that burns through years of deception. Stay long enough to discover that the wedding you cannot bear to attend today may not be the only kind of wedding available to you. Stay long enough to learn that God's refusal to erase you may not be rejection. It may be the answer. I spent years asking, why did I have to be gay? Today, I can finally ask another question. Not instead of the first one, but because I survived it. What if the life I believed I could never want is the life that was waiting for me to stop running? This is The Inner Closet, a safe space for mature men and the truths we have carried alone for too long. If this story resembles yours, you do not have to reveal your identity or describe your darkest moment in the comments. You owe the internet nothing. But please consider speaking privately with someone safe and qualified to support you. And if someone you love is struggling with his sexual orientation, do not hand him another argument against himself. Do not tell him to pray harder, date another woman, become more masculine, or think about what the neighbors will say. Listen. Remind him that honesty is not a moral failure. Help him remain alive long enough to discover what his life can become when it is no longer organized around fear. I did not choose to be gay. For many years, I did not want to be gay. But I chose to stop punishing myself for the person I had always been. I chose honesty. I chose life. And eventually, I married the man who first asked me to make that choice. Take care of yourself, and please, stay. I love you all.